What's going on, everyone? TomGorian, and welcome back to episode 4 of the F1 2021 Spyker My Team Career Mode. Today we are getting ready for the Canadian Grand Prix at the Gilles Villeneuve circuit. It's a track that pretty much I do really well at. I think I really love the track. It's a track that requires a lot of engine power, but also it's a track that requires a light chassis and just a decent car. As you can see, we are starting to work our way towards 3 upgrades, 2 major aerodynamics, a major powertrain upgrade, and then a minor durability upgrade. As far as our gearbox, we are running out of durability, so we're going to change those components midway through the weekend. As you can see, there is Louis Delatraz's ratings. His pace is going up, but we need him at a higher rating simply because he's finishing last at every single time. If you missed the last video of this series, then go ahead and watch it right after you've watched this. As you can see, we scored points. We scored points in Baku. Anything happened, and anything did happen, we scored points in Baku. Our first points finish of the season, 7th place in Baku. We've got a couple of the decent tracks, as you can see: Canada, France, Austria, Silverstone, and then Hungary before the season break. But our car is slightly getting better, but we still need to perform. We're still not there as far as scoring, consecutive points. So we need every point we can get. So without further ado, let's enter the weekend. Okay, so here we are getting ready for the Canadian Grand Prix, and as far as my thoughts on practice are concerned, the car I did not feel confident on the harder tyres. Even though we had a lot of success in the practice programs, I just didn't feel confident at all on the harder tyres, mainly the mediums and the harder compounds. I think this track really suits the soft compound tyres a lot. I just think it's because of the high-speed corners. I feel like, the high-speed corners really suit the softs compared to the mediums, and especially the hards. This lap that you're seeing right now isn't really the best lap I've done of Canada, but it is a decent lap. I feel like, looking back at this lap, it is. I feel there is like a tenth or two to be gained, and I pretty much lose it on the hairpin. As you can see, I'm over a tenth up, and then I'm just too cautious going into the exit. And yeah, as we enter the chicane, you'll see around about now, we're a tenth and slightly a tenth up as we enter the chicane right now. And I'm just too cautious because the curbing on the chicanes is very rough and bumpy, and yeah, we don't even improve by a tenth. And we don't even make it out of Q1 again. For the 4th time this season, we're out in Q1. But obviously, it's expected. We're not a team. We're not a midfield team to get out Q2. As you can see, McLaren there 1-2. That's quite shocking. As you can see, Delatraz finishes last. We're P19. So we've got a lot of work to do for the race.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. It's one of the fastest races of the season here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 60% of this 2.7-mile circuit taken at full throttle. There are 14 corners to navigate, the very last of which has its very own infamous history and could be the cause of a safety car today. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today for the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Gasly and Sebastian Vettel, Tsunoda, Stroll, Esteban Ocon and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, George Russell and Thomas, Latifi, Mazepin, Fernando Alonso and Louis Delatraz.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
So here we are, getting ready for the Canadian Grand Prix, and before we start this video, well, before we start this race, can we please like this video and subscribe to the channel? I want to get to 600 subscribers, and yeah, if you like the video and subscribe, it would really help me out and really help the channel out. Here's the setup that I'm running. 7-8 wings, just pretty much just to help with maybe overtaking, but there will be rain for this race. I don't know when it's going to come, but anyway, getting ready for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's 5 red lights. Lights out in Montreal, and it's a decent start there by us there. A bit of a wheel spinny start there as we head in towards turn 1. We're going to try and go around the outside of George Russell in the Williams. And as we enter turn 2, it's 3 wide actually between us, Mick Schumacher and George Russell. In towards turn 3, we're going to go slightly wide, and we take the position. We are in P16 in this race as we cut on later towards the end, or in the hairpin of the first lap. We're in P16. As you can see, Nicholas Latifi goes down the inside. We just avoid Mick Schumacher there, and also Antonio Giovinazzi. Ocon nearly gets wiped out by Nick Latifi. And as you can see, we overtake Giovinazzi with the slipstream and the ERS on overtake. We're not going to make the move on Nick Latifi just yet. We're going to brake early and try and get switched back first, and then second. He goes a little bit wide. He does get a decent exit out of the chicane, but we're going to get a much better run as we head towards the first corner for the beginning of lap number 2, and clean around the outside. A bit of wheel banging there, but that is job done. P14 in the beginning of this race. Now cutting on towards lap 5, and pretty much from lap 3 onwards, not really much happened. I was stuck in no man's land. I was in P14, and I was trying to catch Ocon and Tsunoda, but I was pulling away from Latifi and George Russell and Giovinazzi. Latifi and Russell, Latifi and Giovinazzi had, you know, an epic battle going on for P15, and that allowed me to pretty much get away by pretty much 5/10 a lap. And in the process of this race, I was talking to my engineer about the weather, as you can hear now, and there's actually rain in this race. So for the first time on this game, there is rain for F1 2021, and yeah, as you can see right now, the track is getting worse. You can see the droplets right now, and it's starting to rain. And as you can see, all of the other AI runners are pitting on the mediums. My teammate is in, Louis Delatraz is in. He's going to box for the medium tyres. But my process for this race was simply to stay out. I mean, the whole thought process for me was stay out on the soft tyres, and then hopefully the rain hit hard enough to the point where we would pit for intermediates and then jump the rest of the field. But as you can see, I was struggling for traction, and as you can see, Lance Stroll, Tsunoda, Gasly is about to overtake us, so we're going to box early on lap 12, or lap 13 excuse me, to go on the intermediate tyres. Now, looking back, this was pretty much the wrong decision to make, considering that the DRS was still enabled, and also the track really wasn't suited for intermediate conditions. But yeah, DRS would be disabled in like 4 laps time, and yeah, we really pretty much gambled our race going onto the on the intermediates. And as you can see, we're going to join right behind Nicholas Latifi in the Williams, and we are down in towards P18. So now let's fast forward to lap 19, and the track is getting much more damper. DRS has been disabled, and we are in position 14, believe it or not, after everyone has boxed. And yeah, as far as the track conditions and how they were, can't really tell. Obviously the car felt a little bit tentative under braking. I did lose the rear a couple times under braking. The games like F1 2019, as far as the braking is concerned, you've got to control the rear side of the braking. As you can see, lap 28 out of 35, we were in position 14, and we are boxing again on the intermediate tyres. We're going to be making a 2-stop in this race. I thought I could have done a 1-stop, but pretty much the tyres would have run out, and yeah, we had to box pretty much for new tyres. So that's going to put us all the way down into 17th place, and yeah, that's where I spent most of the race. Now this is interesting. Okay, we were battling with Fernando Alonso. Alonso was behind us before we made our second stop. He undercut us by 1 lap, and Fernando got ahead of us in the pit stop. So Fernando is ahead of us, and Kimi is also ahead of Fernando. So hopefully Fernando and Raikkonen, as we lose the back end there, just battle, hard enough. And as you can see, we're just losing the back end once again there throughout turn 1. We're going to try and make a move around the outside, but we just don't have the grip and the rear stability of the car to make a move like that work in the Alpine. And yeah, Fernando holds position, and that was really the story of this race for the last 10 laps. I was trying to find a gap to try and get past Fernando, and once again around the outside, and yet not on where, because he's just keeping his line. And yeah, that was the story of this race. But as you can see, around about now, Lewis Hamilton is out of the Canadian Grand Prix. What's happened to Lewis Hamilton? Hamilton, who was leading this race, dominating this race. I mean, name 2 things that Hamilton loves: Canada and rain. And yeah, that's what you get. Hamilton is in the lead, and his engine dies on him. Lewis Hamilton is out of the Canadian Grand Prix. And yeah, what a shocker. Lewis Hamilton is out. Anyway, Daniel Ricciardo is in the lead. Around the final corner goes Daniel Ricciardo. He's being chased by Sergio Perez. Daniel Ricciardo wins the Canadian Grand Prix. His first victory for McLaren. And for us, it's P17. But yeah, tough day in the office, but what are you going to do? But yeah, Ricciardo wins in Canada, the same track where he took his first victory for Red Bull.
That's it then for another magnificent Canadian Grand Prix, and they've hung on to take a sublime victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So Daniel Ricciardo wins the Canadian Grand Prix, just like he did with Red Bull back in 2014, his first victory for McLaren. Perez finishes second, and Bottas finished in P3. Wow, what a shock of a race that was. I mean, Lewis Hamilton was pretty much leading the race. As you can see, Verstappen finished 4th, Vettel finished 5th, and yeah, Bottas leads the Drivers' Championship. Now, this is one thing I love about this year's game. You can actually see now what actually happens with the replay editor. So, as you can see, Bottas leads the race, and yet him and Max Verstappen pit on the last lap of the Grand Prix. What is that about? Why are the AI pitting on the last lap? Why would Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen pit for intermediates on the final lap of the race? I do not understand that. and hopefully Cody's patched that, because that's a major AI error. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more F1 2021 Spyker career mode, and yeah, thanks for watching, 30 likes, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.